country has voted decisively for change to public service.
You won't believe the bombshell that just dropped. KEIR Starmer, the Labor leader, is now caught in a scandal that has everyone talking. It turns out Starmer has been enjoying access to not one, but several luxury properties, all thanks to Lord Ali, a millionaire donor. From a £4 million townhouse in Soho to a swanky penthouse in Covent Garden, these gifts were never properly declared. And now the media is on fire with people wondering just how deep Starmer's connection to Lord Ali goes. Could this be the beginning of the end for him?
Working people know that hard choices are necessary. They lived through the Liz Truss episode.
The first signs of trouble for Starmer came when reports surfaced that he had received a series of gifts from Lord Ali, a wealthy businessman and key donor to the Labour Party. Initially, these gifts were thought to be small tokens, nothing out of the ordinary in the world of politics, where donations and gifts from supporters are a regular occurrence. But things took a turn when it was revealed that Starmer's team had downplayed the extent of what he had received. Lord Ali had given more than just simple gifts. He provided access to luxury properties and expensive items, including clothing valued at thousands of pounds. This wasn't just one or two items either. Starmer had reportedly received tens of thousands of pounds worth of clothing and other benefits. Despite this, his team tried to brush it off as if it were no big deal, perhaps hoping no one would dig deeper. But of course, when something like this happens in politics, it rarely stays hidden for long.
But particularly also, crucially, the money from Lord Ali, the huge tens of thousands of pounds worth of help he's had from Lord Ali.
During the general election, Starmer campaigned on a message of change, of doing politics differently, and of making his a government of service. Yet he now finds himself caught in a row over the huge amount of freebies he has accepted. The bigger issue here isn't just about Starmer's acceptance of these gifts, it's about the lack of transparency. The rules for MPs are clear. Anything that could influence their decisions must be declared. Yet Starmer and his team appear to have selectively disclosed these benefits, raising questions about honesty and integrity in politics. Transparency is everything, and when it's compromised, the consequences can be severe. Just when we thought things couldn't get worse for KEIR Starmer, another bombshell dropped. This time, it was revealed that Starmer had been using a £4 million luxury townhouse in Soho, courtesy of none other than Lord Ali. This wasn't just a quiet getaway house. It was a place where Starmer's team held election strategy meetings ahead of the general election. This revelation comes on the heels of earlier reports that Starmer had already accepted the use of several high-end properties from Lord Ali, but this one wasn't previously disclosed. It's clever, isn't it? I'm talking about Sue Gray, Starmer's chief of staff, who has ended up in the headlines for all the wrong reasons this week, a bit like her boss. She recently took a pay rise and is now paid more than the Prime Minister. What makes this latest leak even more shocking is the fact that key figures from Starmer's team were present during these meetings, including Sue Gray, his chief of staff, and Pat McFadden, now the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. It's clear that these weren't just casual meetups, they were high-level strategic discussions about the future of the Labour Party. The big question here is why this wasn't declared sooner. It's not every day that a sitting political leader uses a luxury townhouse for official meetings and doesn't see fit to mention it. The list of undeclared gifts and benefits connected to Starmer is starting to look suspicious. There's the Covent Garden penthouse, the Manhattan apartment, and now this townhouse in Soho, all from Lord Ali. The fact that all these benefits were provided by the same person only deepens the intrigue. It begs the question, just how close are Starmer and Ali, and what kind of influence does Lord Ali have over the Labour Party? There's more. One of the first properties to come to light was Lord Ali's Covent Garden penthouse, where Starmer's family reportedly stayed for about 6 weeks during the election campaign. Now, this isn't your typical London flat. We're talking about an £18 million penthouse in one of the most desirable parts of the city. But when Starmer declared the stay, he valued it at only £2,000, which is suspiciously low given that similar properties in the area can easily fetch £1,800 per day. It seems like someone didn't get their math quite right. But that's not all. There's also the Manhattan apartment, worth a cool £2 million, which was used by Angela Rayner, the deputy leader of the Labour Party. She spent several days there on holiday last year, yet when it was declared, the value was again vastly underreported. Properties like that in Manhattan's prime locations go for much more than what Rayner and Starmer's team declared. It's becoming increasingly clear that the Labour Party, especially Starmer and his allies, have been benefiting from some very high-end hospitality courtesy of Lord Ali. When you step back back and look at it, the scope of the gifts is staggering. Luxury properties, designer clothes, and more, all generously provided by one man. And the big question here is, why hasn't it all been properly declared? It's not just about enjoying a fancy holiday or using a swanky apartment for meetings. It's about transparency and the need for public trust in our politicians.
My message is that the UK is back, reconnecting, open for business, working in partnership with others to solve shared challenges. And together we must harness the power of the Commonwealth to truly make it count.
When it comes to MPs accepting gifts or benefits, there are clear rules in place. The MP's Code of Conduct is designed to ensure transparency, particularly concerning anything that could influence a politician's decisions or behavior. The code states that MPs must declare any benefit they receive as a result of their parliamentary or political activities. So whether it's a stay in a luxury penthouse or free designer clothing, it all needs to be declared publicly.
This is a government that's not just come in to say thank you, as we rightly do. It's not just a government that comes in and says we're going to get the NHS back on its feet.
In Starmer's case, the failure to declare the use of these properties could be a serious breach of those rules. Even though Starmer might argue that some of these properties were used for wider group activities, like strategy meetings rather than personal leisure, it doesn't change the fact that there's a clear expectation of transparency. And let's be honest, if an MP is holding meetings in a multi-million-pound property that's been gifted to them, people have a right to know.
£500 million worth of new investment in battery storage that will create the jobs of the future right here. Trust in my project to return Britain to the service of working people can only be earned through actions, not words. Change must be felt. But every decision that we have made, every decision that we will make in the future, will be made with working people in our mind's eye.
The scandal involving KEIR Starmer and Lord Ali's undeclared gifts continues to unravel, and it's no surprise that the Conservative Party and the Scottish National Party, SNP, have been quick to call for formal investigations into Starmer's ties to the wealthy donor. The Tories, eager to undermine Starmer's leadership, have seized on this as an opportunity to question his integrity, raising concerns about the influence Lord Ali might exert over Starmer and the Labour Party. The SNP, too, hasn't held back, with many of its members echoing demands for an inquiry. The fact that multiple political parties are now pressuring Starmer shows just how serious this situation has become. But it's not just the opposition causing headaches for Starmer. Inside his own party, there's growing discontent. Rosie Duffield's resignation from Labour was a major blow, as she accused Starmer of hypocrisy for accepting lavish gifts while making tough economic decisions that affect ordinary citizens, like cutting winter fuel payments for pensioners. Duffield's public departure only adds fuel to the fire, painting a picture of a leader who says one thing but does another. It's this kind of internal rebellion that could hurt Starmer the most, as it shows cracks within his own ranks.